watching Sound Advice. So I thought I'd make my video addressing a common problem. This one goes out to all of you out there who have too many riffs floating around in the ether and just not enough completed songs. I know I personally sometimes have to force myself to try to finish things because it's oftentimes too tempting to want to just keep on coming up with new riffs and not completing my ideas. So I had to devise a system to help myself stay on track and stay organized. Honestly, a lot of it is discipline. I can't deny that that's a huge part of the equation as to how to finish songs, but a big part of it is actually coming at your instrument and coming at your practice and writing time with intention. To me, constructing a full song is kind of like telling a story with sound. I love a good story with a proper introduction, some sort of exposition, a climactic moment, and if need be, a resolution. There is a visual element to how I approach songwriting as well. I like to consider dynamics, contrast, tension, and color and texture, but I won't get into that yet. So as you can see, I'm a huge fan of the whiteboard, the whiteboard system. I have so many projects that I have to keep track of, and I'm constantly writing for basically all four of them, including my band. And it sometimes just gets hard to keep track of what needs finishing and what doesn't. So as you can see, I have all the names of my riffs here on this whiteboard. And it's also how I go about approaching each day and my time with intention and treating it like a job. So I thought I'd tell you the story about how I came up with a full song out of just one riff and kind of just dissect the whole writing process for you to see. So I wrote this riff a while back. I was actually doing a little bit of a demo, and I was really stoked on the tone I got from this amp, and I remember it just inspired me to write this whole thing. And before I even get into the whole process of songwriting, I gotta say, step one is to start with a tone that you feel really stoked on and you feel inspired by. It's important because it'll basically motivate you to write and make you feel extra swag when you play. So the riff I wrote went something like... I had so much fun playing this riff, I couldn't just leave it unfinished. I thought it definitely deserved to become a full song. Sometimes I can write a song in one day. That's pretty rare, but more oftentimes it can actually happen over a few months. This one happened to take a couple of weeks, but in order for me to remember everything, I had to have a system to keep myself organized. And that's where this whiteboard comes into play. So that's gonna be the main theme, and I'm also gonna assign a letter, which is letter A. I'm gonna write that down on the whiteboard. A. Hope you can see that. So sometimes you're not even gonna work chronologically. More often than not, I find myself starting from like the middle somewhere, the end, and then having to be conscious about what goes around it and then arrange things so that they flow together. So what goes before A and after A? Originally, I played around with like an introduction part. But I decided that it actually stands pretty strong on its own, and I thought the song should just come in with a theme immediately. So what should come after A? We already decided that nothing should happen before. Maybe A needs like a B section to go into. I feel like it's a strong main theme, but it needs to have like a strong follow-up. And sometimes to figure out what comes next after a part, I like to sing it. That way I can write the melody that I want to hear, and then I just translate to guitar. I find that singing stuff tends to allow for the most natural and organic sounding melody to happen, rather than let convenience or comfort or habit in certain shapes dictate what you come up with. Let's check in with what we have right now, and let's try to sing what comes next. So I don't want it to do the same thing as the first time. I think it should go up, like something should ascend. So bear with me, I'm gonna sing it. It's gonna sound super goofy, but then we're gonna translate it to guitar. So I hear something like da 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 da. So I think after this part, it should go into something kind of more notey, like something epic, like a sweep sounding thing. Because right now it's super flowy, super airy, and I think it needs that little notey section to kind of offset it. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where I'm always thinking about contrast and textures to add sonic interest to the part I'm writing. So maybe a sweep like digga 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 ba ba ba. I hear that. Digga 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 da ba ba da 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 da. Let's try that. Ooh, I like that. And then maybe ba na 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 da na 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 na. Little unexpected chord. And I think that should repeat. So let's just go ahead and call that section B. So A happens twice. I'm gonna put a little note there. It's a 2, you probably can't see it. But and then I'm gonna go into the B section, which I also think should happen twice. So let's go ahead and play A into B. For a little variation. And maybe have it go back into A. So anyway, that seems to flow pretty great. So before I get into the next section, at some point I played with a little gainier version of this tone, and I ended up writing a riff that sounded like it could be in the same universe as this song. Let's hear what that sounds like. Anyway, just went something like that. And I guess I decided that I wanted to try to bridge this last section, or sounds like it could be like an epic climax or something, with what I just wrote. But I don't think what I have right now necessarily flows into that last riff, but I'm gonna try to make it work by writing some transitions. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that climactic end riff on the whiteboard, but I don't really know where I'm gonna put it yet. So I'm just gonna put it here as a placeholder. Climax. I don't know if you can read it. Sorry if the writing's really small. So I'm gonna use the same technique I did earlier, where I'm gonna play what I have so far and then figure out what comes next using my voice. I'm gonna sing what I hear. So far we have I definitely hear something like ba 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 da da da. This is so funny. I can't believe I'm doing this on camera for you guys. But this is my process. So yeah, I hear something with delay. I hear that melody. I hear something that kind of makes you like fist bump, something more chill and dancey. So let's go ahead and try to throw some delay on that. Okay, it's kind of a high feedback. I might tone it down depending on how muddy it gets, but let's try that. I like that. Let's go ahead and call that C. I definitely think it should repeat. So let's try to do C again, but let's add some variation. Maybe add that note. I like that. Actually, I like the amount of feedback. I might actually turn it off for selective sections, but we'll get to that later. I'm not going to color everything in right now. But yeah, let's have C repeat. So C, maybe like C1 and C2, and both have delay on them. So let's see how that all flows. Let's see if I'm ready for the big climax. I don't think so. It doesn't sound like it flows yet. I think it needs maybe like a D section. But once again, I'm going to use the same technique. I'm going to play what I have for the C and see what it could potentially go into. So that's just the ending part. So I think it also needs something a little more chill and washy, and I think that'll actually do great to contrast that kind of more lead gainy sound at the end. It's going to be super notey, and so right now I still want to stay chill. Again, I'm thinking about contrast here. I'm thinking about what's going to make that last climax section really pop. So let's try to play that idea. So let's keep that delay there. I need something up here in this register to maybe offset that. So I'm gonna be like, the fun thing about delay is when you play a wrong note, you get to hear it for eternity. But yeah, I like that. So some variation the second time it comes around. I'm gonna go ahead with this marker and rotate. Oh, we're almost to the end. So I think this is like a D section. Maybe it happens twice, so D1 and then D2. Let's see how it goes if I just go straight into the climax. Let's see if that works. Let's see if it even needs something here. I'm not really satisfied with that flow, so I think I'm gonna add an additional part. I think I'm gonna do something like even more chill and laid back, because it's starting to get kind of notey. I always do that. I always like add way too much detail, but I think it needs like something that's like vamped, something like maybe an ostinato-y section. I'm gonna call it E. I'm gonna have it just kind of repeat and maybe get a little more intense each time so that it crescendos into that like lead section that sounds like a little pickup change there. Something like da, 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 da. Something that I can easily stack effects on and have it be like a crescendo. So maybe like, I always love harmonics because it's like such a nice light texture. So I'm also going to include that delay because it makes it all washy. And that, I think this section will contrast super nicely into the gainy section. So let's try that. I really like that. I think that flows the best. So I think E can just crescendo into the climax. So there you have it. That's pretty much the full song. Let's do a flow check. I just realized I did a flow check, everything seems to flow well, but I never actually topped off this climax riff. Remember, because I wrote it separately, I never actually gave thought to how this whole song should end. So to put the final cherry on top, I think I should reintroduce that main theme. It'd be so fun to do a callback to it and tie it into that last riff. So right now I have, so the main theme was, it'd be cool. So ba da 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 ba da da. It'd be cool if I brought that back briefly. So yeah, I think that's an appropriate way to end the song. So I guess climax has a little end riff. So I'll write maybe like a callback. So keep in mind that this whole process I've condensed into like a couple of minutes, but in real time, I'm actually taking forever to piece all these little parts together. Like just writing A would probably take me like 5 hours, 6 hours. But for the sake of time and for sake of making something more listenable, I learned all the parts and I've played it for you today. But keep in mind that in real life, not internet life, I'd be sitting here singing to myself like a mad woman and trying to find these parts on guitar and having it sound like complete trash before I commit to something. So I just wanted to just do a little reality check and let you know that this is a process that takes hours. And sometimes finishing a song, as I mentioned way earlier, it's not like I sit down in one sitting and I have this all complete. It actually can take me weeks and months. And this song happened to take me about a month or so. The whole point of this was to show how I go about completing my riffs and turning them into full-fledged songs. For those of you with a bunch of riffs floating around, those of you with a bit of addiction for writing new things, you have to cap yourself off and make a rule. No new riffs. And basically, in the beginning, I showed you a whiteboard that I have. I have all the names of parts I've written on that whiteboard. And in order to be deliberate and intentional with my time, every day when I wake up, I choose one of those riffs and I spend time fleshing it out and trying to build it into a full song. In order to do that, you have to decide where the riff belongs in the context of a full song. So if your song is like a story, I guess your riffs are like little chapters. So you have to decide which chapter you want to start with, which part of the story it is, be it the climax, be it the intro, be it maybe like some kind of development. You also don't have to start in the beginning. Sometimes I feel like maybe it makes the most sense to work chronologically, but that's not always the case. More often than not, I end up deciding that the riff I wrote sounds like some kind of ending and I have to work backwards. Or even sometimes like what we did in this whole video series, I ended up writing a beginning and then I ended up writing an end, and then I had to figure out how to get from the beginning to the end. Keeping a whiteboard is really helpful. You can basically assign names and letters to different parts to keep track of what needs to be completed and also to have some sort of visual structure to go by. And I also record all the parts I write as I go so I don't forget them. And when I'm trying to write the next part after something or before something, I like to sing my parts, and that way I feel like the flow is the most natural and I'm not bound by comfort or convenience. Also, you saw that sometimes I like to repeat sections because I feel like they deserve to be repeated. But in order for them to not get repetitive, I like to add a little bit of variation the second time it comes around or the third time it comes around. And you can do that texturally with like tone, or you can do it with like a new technique, or you can even change up the melody a bit to give it a little extra spice. So I did that with like harmonics, or even sometimes I add a bit of whammy in there. And finally at the end, I like to do a flow check. So I like to play through everything to make sure that it sounds very natural and that I'm not forcing any sections to happen. So there you have it. I really hope that this video inspires you to try to finish some of those songs that you've been meaning to finish. I hope this sort of visual, almost like outlining technique helps you have a bit of structure and be more deliberate about how you use your time. And yeah, those riffs, if you're excited about them, odds are they deserve to serve a bigger picture and be a part of an entire song. The world deserves to hear what you've been cooking up. So rock on.